Welcome to this really short little video about Hyperdocs and how they're going to engage you in your learning in a far more dramatic way than any workbook, textbook or Word doc would ever normally do. So I hope you enjoy it and learn a lot from it. So firstly, what does this word Hyperdoc mean? Well, essentially a Hyperdoc is taking Google Docs and Google applications for education to a whole new level in which you create basically almost like a portal for you guys to engage with, to send you to different places, but ultimately bring you back to the doc where you create and can share all that you have learned and see the progress that you're making through learning everything that we're sending you off to find. A good way to imagine it is almost like a journey, and that journey progressively adds more and more dynamics to it. So what do I mean by that? That's a whole load of other words that you might not quite get. So if I exit out of that and just show you a few examples. So they can be in multiple forms, from posters to actual documents to slides. So I'll give you a bit of a variety of sort of examples that you might encounter. So this one's a really simple one. Basically, you can see the stages in which you'll have to engage with, explore, explain, apply, share, reflect, and then extend. Okay, so these are sort of some of the words that you'll start to hear as we start to do some of these Hyperdocs in class. Now, what does all this mean? Well, let's give you a quick example. Here is a Year 10 electricity Hyperdoc. Now, just like before, it's the same premise but just in the slides, and you can see here the first part is to engage. Now this might be an experiment around the class that you have to do, or a YouTube clip, or both, or whatever combination of things that I as the teacher decide to engage you with. Then I might get you to explore some of the concepts that these activities that you've just done are actually asking you to do. So you'll explore through some other interactive systems, and that might be through a different link. But notice, once you've done that, you've got to come back here and actually do a little bit of sort of processing of that information. So here's a few questions that I might get you to do and fill in and edit on here. A few more there, and I constantly can send you back to the links if you're unsure on what to do. Those boys that have been with me before will know that this looks like a solo hot map, so that's something you might get to do. But as you're progressing through, you'll suddenly come to another stage in, I guess, the journey, and that's to explain something. So I've made you engage with some content, I've made you explore it in a bit more detail. Now I'm asking you, what have you understood by that? Can you explain 3 different things here? Okay, and then I'm going to get you to apply those things to maybe show me your sort of level of understanding. Then I might get you to share it or to go see someone else's work, because I'm not the only teacher in the classroom. We're all there to learn from each other. So your peers are valuable learning tools. And finally, we've got the reflect part, which is really important. And this year in my classes, we're going to be using solo, and that can be explained in a different video. And finally, we've got this next steps, or the sort of extension part of what you're going to do. Okay, so that's a basic Hyperdoc through slides. The key things to remember here, guys, are you're not to really move on until you've done the slide, because they build on each other. So you start with slide 1, and here it's actually asking you to click on there and look at these learning outcomes, and then it's going to ask you to do here. You do everything on the slide before you move on. Now this might take a different path. There's the hero's journey ones, where it's a call to adventure, where I might present you with a situation, enter the unknown. I might guide you through a challenge, or go through that challenge in a bit more detail, give you a bit of education here by meeting the mentor through maybe one of my videos, or through another form of interactive software, or like a lab. And then I might start to get you to start thinking about that challenge and how you can apply what you've learned from all these things to this new scenario. And finally, I might test you and assess you on how you've mastered that part of the sort of journey that you've gone through and all this information. And finally, there's these cool ones called choice boards. So sometimes a topic will call for you to pick something. So I'll give you all the varied things that you can pick from, and it's sort of follow your nose really, pick which ones you want to go through. Click these links, follow them, see what they ask you, but come back here and it's asking you to create some stuff here through either ThingLink or Google Slides. And finally, here's just another example of that in a slides format. Pick 3 of these and you have to tell me about them. So that's one I had to do on a professional development course myself, because I'm constantly learning too. So I guess getting hyper about Hyperdocs, guys. We really think they're a powerful way to sort of extend our learning. Key things to remember about them are not to go through them at light speed. Take your time, go one point after another, be it in a doc. Here, just go through each stage, complete all the tasks, fill in all the bits you need to do, and then move on through this. Same with the slides, you do one slide, then the other. And lastly, guys, I guess the most powerful thing as a teacher for me to be able to see is to be able to see your work and see you progress through it at your pace. So I hope you enjoy these, guys. I'm really looking forward to using them and seeing what sort of work you produce. I hope that explained them a little bit. See you in class.